Alright, hello guys. Um, Today I am back with another tutorial on how I made my sci-fi gun attachment things. Um, Basically someone asked Mr. Dextoy, how do you make these customizable attachments where you can toggle them on and off, like bam. Look at that, just change the magazine. How do you do that? It's really cool and you're awesome. Um, it's actually really simple. I discovered it by accident one day when I was messing around with the menus that no one touches. And also looking at tutorials, and it's a very nice system to use if you want to make something that can change throughout the animation, or you just want to have some control over things easily. Um, as you can see here, there's like a lot of different attachments that you can use and stuff, and so yeah, you can like toggle them on and off, and with like one click of the button, and yeah, it's really cool. You can move them around and change all the stuff. Um, yeah, so someone asked how do I make these menus that I can control, and it's a very simple system. I will show you now um, over here. So this is a little model of an M1911 or something, whatever it's called, that I made a while back. So it's a really horrible model, but I just made this flashlight for today, for the tutorial to show you guys how to like make things. So say I want to have this gun, but I don't want to have the flashlight on it all the time. But I do want it on sometimes because it's nice to have options. Um, how do I control that? How do I manage it? Well, guys, I'm going to show you today, and I'm also going to show you how to like control it and make it do different effects and stuff. So what you're going to need before we start is your mesh, your finished mesh, textured. I don't know. You can do lighting and stuff if you want. But basically, you just need a mesh. You need what you want to control. So I have the body of the M1911 here. It's a very nice little thing. Actually, it's average. And I have the flashlight over here. So it has the light, it has the switches, the lens, all of that stuff, all the good stuff. It's just the finished mesh. You need that if you want to control it. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename these to gun mesh and light mesh, just so we know what's happening. We're going to take another null and we're going to name this controller. Basically, inside this, we're going to have a couple menus over here where we can control all the different things. So we can like click a button here and it'll change something on the gun. So we don't actually have to go into it ourselves and change it. You can just do whatever. So just drag your gun mesh or whatever it is and your flashlight into there, and then so yeah, now we can just move this around as one piece. So they both move together. So you can minimize, close that or whatever. Don't worry about this. This is just the lighting in the actual scene and the reference object that I used to model it, or the reference plane, whatever is it? Yeah, it's a plane. That's just what I use to model the gun off of. So you've got your little controller and you've got the meshes inside of it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into here with our controller selected, and we're going to go up to these menus here that no one ever uses. So mode, edit, and user data. Who knows what those means? We're going to go into user data, and under there is add user data and manage user data. We're going to go into manage because adding is like it's over here. When you click on it, it's over here. So now what this is, it's a very simple system. Basically, add data and add group. Add group is like adding folders to organize all your stuff, and add data is adding the actual functions that you control things with. So what we're going to do is we say you want to control your gun. So say you want to have a folder named attachments in it. So you just click add group and click on the group, and under name you just call it attachments whatever, and click over here. I'll just warn you guys, try not to press enter when you're typing stuff, because it does close the window and it can mess things up. Because when you're editing things and when you close the window, it like finalizes some of the edits, and sometimes you can't really change this without making the entire thing again. Well, not the entire thing, but that like piece of data or that folder or whatever. So just try to keep this open at all times. It's kind of a hard thing for me to learn because I kept on clicking away and having to redo things. So you can just kind of, in here you can like customize how your thing looks, like the column scale height. I don't really touch all that. It's a folder. I don't really need a fancy folder. So with our folder selected, so click attachments, you can say add data. Oh, and actually, we can say add group. So under attachments, we want to control our flashlight. So because we're going to have more than one function in the flashlight. So we can say flashlight here, bam, boom, another folder. And inside that, now we can start adding the functions that we want. So add data. And for this, we're just going to say, does the flashlight exist? Yes or no. So when we click this button, will the flashlight be visible on the gun? So what we're going to do is, I'll just call it toggle, because I don't know, it's what you can call it. And then don't click away. Click on data type here, and Boolean, whatever you call it. It sounds weird to say, but there's a lot of different things here. I don't know what a bunch of them mean, but like, for example, we might just be using float, Boolean, and maybe color. It's basically, float is like a slider, or I don't know, I think there might be another one for slider, but float is basically like a slider that you can use. Boolean is like a button that you can press, and color is like selecting a color. So like 3 different RGB values. For Boolean, it's just going to be like things that you're asking yes or no. So is the flashlight visible, yes or no? We can't say is the flashlight half visible, because then that'll be a whole different story. Because that's not asking yes or no, that's asking like a value. So that's float. And color, we don't really need to control the color of the flashlight, so that's fine. So we'll go for Boolean, yes or no. Under here, it's basically just done. We can click animatable. Do you want it to, like, can it be keyframed, basically? It doesn't really matter, because I mean, yeah, if you want to keyframe it, then you can, but if you don't want to, then you can just leave it. So I'll just leave that off because it looks a bit cleaner. Actually, wait, no, I'll leave it on because I'll show you something that happens when you do use it. Okay, so we've got this now. We've got our toggle ready, and that's basically all we need to do to set up this portion of it. You don't even really have to do this. You can literally just go to user data and then say add data and then put the toggle in here. But I like organizing things. Sue me. Okay, so click OK down here, finalize those things, and then bam, look over here. We've got our little folders. So you can open attachments, open flashlight, and there's a little option for toggle. Right, but if you'll notice, when we click this, oh no, nothing's happening to our flashlight. Well, that's kind of obvious because we haven't told it to do anything to our flashlight. So what we're going to want to do is we are right-clicking on this, going to expressions, there's a little X there, and we're going to click set driver. Bam. So that's saying this will control whatever we click on next. Well, not click on, but whatever we tell it to control next. So now, what we want to do is we want to find what kind of thing in Cinema 4D will control is this visible or not. So you can open up, go to your light mesh, or whatever it is, your attachment, and go to basic or something. Because over here, this is where you can control, does it exist or not. So if you click that off, then it doesn't exist. If you click it on, then it does exist. Now we want to tell our controller to control that value, or this kind of menu over here. So we'll just set it to default, and we'll right click on visible in editor, expressions, set driven, absolute. I don't think it makes a difference, but just click absolute because I know that works. And you'll see a little thing pops up here, and that means that it's worked. If it doesn't pop up, then just go back to your controller, right click on this again, expressions, set driver again, and then go back to your mesh and then right click, set driven. So driver driven, that's the order. But we also want to do it into renderer so that it shows up when we actually render it properly. So I'll click here, set driven absolute, because we still have that that value selected as the driver. So bam, now that works. You'll see these little Expresso tags pop up. We're not actually going to be touching an Expresso at all. It just sets up this little thing for you, just so that, you know, it's easier. So we can go back into our controller, and look at this. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's working. Look at that. Bam, it's literally magic. Um, so yeah, that's literally how easy it is to set up some controllers and stuff. But I'm gonna take it a bit I'm gonna take it a step further and show you guys how you can control separate values and separate types of things in this driver-driven expression thing, whatever you want to call it. So, if that's all you wanted to know, then you can just kind of end the tutorial now, and yeah, I don't really mind. I mean, that's all that was really asked of me. But I'm going to show you guys how to control like this little switch on the side here to make it go like up and down, and how to change the color of the light, for example. Um, just so that I can show you guys some other useful information, because I haven't seen many people using this system, and it's quite nice. It's very nice for organizing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up a little thing here, not a plane, a floor, over here, just so I can show you guys the light. And that's a horrifying light. Wait a second. Bam. Alright, so we've got our really crappy light over there. It's shining off into that direction. But it's making white light, and say we want it to be tactical and make it green. So we want to have green light shining in this direction and blinding our enemies with fury. So what we want to do is go into controller, go to user data, go to manage user data again, and under here, under the flashlight, we'll say add data, and we'll say light color. That's how you spell color, guys. I don't care what you say. Under data type, you're going to click down and click color. And that's literally all you have to do. You can say animatable if you want it to strobe or whatever, or do whatever. And that's it. While we're in here, I'm actually going to say the light intensity as well. Oh my gosh. There we go. I almost friggin' died there typing that. I don't know why. And under this one, we're going to ask it to have a percentage. So we're going to go to float, which is that normally. Interface, we want float slider. So it's literally going to be a slider like this. Under step, or under unit percentage, yes, that's right, because we want it to be 0 to 100. Min, max, 0, 100, that's all good. And that's all we need to do for the light. Bam, okay. So now we got two new things over here. Obviously they don't do anything yet, because we haven't told them to do anything yet. Oh, by the way, this little thing that I wanted to show you, the little kind of triangle square thing, that just tells you that it's being controlled by another source, or it's controlling another source. So, like over here, these things over here, it's being told that it's receiving an input, hence the triangle going into the square, and this is an output going out of the square. So it's saying when this is toggled, then this is affected. That's just a little thing that I want to show you. That's why I put the animatable thing on there. Anyway, so we have light color. Now this is literally as simple as saying, right click, set driver, go into your light, actual light, go to general, under the color, set driven, bam. And now, when we go into our controller, and we click on this, actually I can just click it down here, enhanced color table. We can just find green over here, and when we click a render row, bada boom, bada bam, we have a green light. Isn't that tactical? It's as easy as that. And you can just change it on the fly, like bam, oh look, now it's orange. And we can control all of this stuff inside here, so we can toggle if it's on and off inside here, and it might glitch out because I'm not too sure if it'll even show light here. It does. That's not supposed to happen, but it's, I don't know, just play with the system. Just play around with it until something works. And then we want to do light intensity. So we go click on this, right click, set driver, and go here. We want intensity over here, set driven. You don't have to name it the same thing that it's called. Like I called it color, you don't have to call it color over here. You can call it potato and it'll still control color. Just whatever. So you can go back and control it now, and when we change the intensity over here, whoop, 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 whoop. So say we want it at 25%. It's going to be super dim. Look at that. You can barely see anything. Probably won't be able to see anything with YouTube's horrible compression. But say if we go here, then we might be able to see something. Oh, look at this. It's like light. So yeah, that's basically how you just do different values and stuff. So that's nice. So now I'm going to show you how to control this little switch on the side that I made, which is like, oh my gosh, look at this. It's a switch. It's actually just a little button like that. I just didn't even model a switch. But yeah, it doesn't particularly matter. Just if you want to move something, even if you want to move the whole thing like along a rail, like I did for the gun. You'll see somewhere. On some of these, I managed to underbarrel. Yeah, this might be it. So you'll see for some of these, I managed to change it so you can move it along the rail. It actually goes way too far, but it's fun. So you can like move it along the rail over here and control where it is along the gun. I'll show you guys how to do that now. So, well, I mean, I'll show you on this little bit, but I mean, you can translate it into going backwards and forwards. I'll show you both though. So say you want to control this little button. You want to say, I want to control if this button goes up or down. I'll show you how. So, under this, go to user data, manage user data again. Under flashlight, we will say add data button. No, it's not a button, it's a switch. Switch control. And click down here. Float, that's what we want, because we want to control the value. And then float slider. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, because you kind of have to go back into this and see how far it goes. But once we've set these things, we can click out of here. So we can click OK and go back into here and find things out. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this switch into a null, just so it gives me a little bit more control. Switch null and then drag it back in there. And then with the switch, yeah. Okay, so now this is in here. Because sometimes it F's out and you just have to tell it to be in its own separate little corner. Otherwise it cries. So what we want to do is we want to see how far this thing goes up and down. So it goes about, let's say, 5 centimeters down. That's a freaking huge 5 centimeters, or tiny 5 centimeters. I didn't model this thing to scale, guys. It's really bad. But yeah, that goes down about 5 centimeters. So that's what we want to make our limit to how far it can move, because we don't want to control our slider and goes, oh, bam, all the way down here, because that isn't realistic. I mean, it might be, but I'm living in a different universe. So we want to go to controller, go to manage user data, on the switch control, which is the one we just made. We want to set our minimum to, we want to set the thing to real, because it's not working in percentages, it's working in actual units. So set it to real. Oh no, meter. I'm silly, guys, sorry, don't listen to me. And then the max we want to set is 5, because we want it to move 5 centimeters max. And the step we can put it in, this is basically just how far the slider goes. So you see it like jumps every now and then. You can set that to 0.3 or something, and the jumps will be less. Maybe not. There you go, yeah, now they'll be less. So you can control where it is more precisely. So we'll set that to 0.3 so we can get more control. And then that's all we really need to do. So, okay, I think I might have to make that -5 and 0. But we'll check it out now. So what we have to do is we have to go to our switch. And then we want to find the value that controls up or down. And that is the y-axis over here. So we want to go to coordinates under P, Y, which is position, Y. Oh wait, I didn't click driver. So switch control, expressions, set driver, switch, find just the Y value, expressions, set driven. Now, yeah, this is what I was worried about. Okay, so when you sometimes do this, it like zeroes out, because that's what the default value for this is. That's why I put it in its own null, so I can control the null now, and it's still technically at 0, but it's inside a null. So you just kind of move the null around, because you can't really move this around now, because it's being controlled by this value over here. So you have to move it around in a null over here. And that's where it started. Now, I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. It's going to go up instead of down, because we set it to positive value, and positive on the y-axis is up. So when you go switch control, Yeah, it's going up. Yeah, it's a problem. It's not a big problem though, because we can easily change it. Go back to user data, manage user data, switch control, and change the minimum to -5 and the maximum to 0. It's to 0. To 0. That's how you do it, basically. So now, it basically is sliding in the opposite direction, and it goes down instead. Magic. Yay. Now I can just position this again, and when you're in a controller, bam, look at that. Oh, we have a nice little switch. So our person who's shooting the gun is like, I don't want the flashlight anymore. Oh, bam, off. It's actually not off. You kind of have to do the intensity as well, but it's for looks, as is all animation. So that's basically how you control position. I'll show you, if you say you have a rail, so say this thing's on a really crappy rail, friggin' third world cardboard thing, and yeah. So say that's your rail over there, and you want to be able to control, can this thing move along this rail? Please make it so. Basically, go back into the controller, user data, manage user data, flashlight, add data, position, and then you can change this to float, meter. Actually, wait, no, float slider. Yeah, and then meter. Click OK, because we just need to check how far this thing goes. So say this is the minimum value that we want. Oh wait, no, this is the maximum, because we're along the x-axis, and we want it to go backwards along the x-axis. Oh wait, no, these are all orientated weirdly. So this is on the z-axis, and we want it to go backwards along the z-axis like that, because it's pointing that way, so that way is positive. So we want it to go backwards, and it can go, say, 100 units backwards. So that's just what you need to check. So you can just move this around, see where the maximum it'll be, and then just Control Z and it'll go back. So we found out there that it was 100 units backwards. So manage user data, position, minimum -100, maximum 0. 0. There you go. Thank you. Step, we'll make this 0.5 just to get more precision. And then, okay, under position, driver, under light mesh, which is the whole thing that we want to control, we go to coordinates and Z. Oh wait, we're going to need to put this in another null, because the same problem is going to happen. So light mesh, put it in its own null, and then drag it back into wherever it was. Yeah, drag it back down here, into the controller. So now we click on light mesh, on the Z one, right click, driven, bada boom, bada bam, and it's stuffed out. Did I choose the wrong one? Yes, I did. Well done, Samuel. Okay, so now we might have to position this again, just because I managed to click the wrong one somehow. So this is actually the x-axis. So you see when you're moving that around, that's the x-axis that's changing there. So just position it again and find the x-axis, and then just make sure that this is selected. So right click, driver, go into the light mesh, x-axis, right click, driven, absolute, and it zeroes out. So then you just go back into this null that we created and put the light mesh in and move it over to where it was. And now we have, yay, it moves. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's basically all the techniques that I used for controlling this, and you can do it for all your different things. Like you can make another one for your grip and another one for your hollow sight lens or whatever kind of tactical things that you want, like frickin' this. I don't even know. You can make whatever you want, and it's just a nice way of controlling things. So you have all these nice little things, you're like, bam, oh, I don't want that anymore. Bam, I do want that anymore. And you can click down here, change the color very easily, change the light intensity, move around that little switch that we made, it's very useless, whoop, whoop, and change the position. So, bam. And then render it out, and you have a pretty cool gun. Well, I mean, you can't see it now because there's no light. But if I do this, woo, Look at that. Look at how tactical we are. And that's literally all there is to it. It's just right-clicking, driver, driven, bam. Done. Bada boop bop. Cheers, guys.